Silence speaks, three special personality. The light burns on. There have been numerous saints, sages, and teachers in the world who did something or the other for the upliftment of the people. They spread the light among people in general, but they were all like candles lighted up at times at particular places to give light to the people near about. They did good to the people who nearby improved spiritually. But the divine lamp gets lit to light up the whole world at one time on rare occasions only, when God so ordains it. It has already come down and is aglow all around, but few seem to be really eager for it. The enshrouding darkness has completely engulfed the world so heavily that the glimmer of His divine light is yet beyond their view. This is a natural phenomenon which has come into action several times before in the period of the world existence. Whenever evil reaches its climax, some such divine soul does come down into the world to dispel the clouds of darkness and to spread light all through. Take a pause here. Anything to add, sir?
Maybe nothing.
The light is already lit. Only devoted hearts are required to gain it and be profited. Do you expect a repetition of such an occasion in the near future? Can such a personality come down again and again? Can you match it with any of the personalities who had come down previously for a similar purpose? Was such a one in existence in the form of an incarnation? Certainly not. The capacities and the capabilities of every such being differed in accordance with the conditions at the time. This is one of the rarest occasions, for such is the divine will. The personality now come down for nature's work surpasses all previous ones in respect of potentiality and the scope of nature's work entrusted to him. The world of today is in need of such a personality. It was nature's demand, and so it has come into being. But few seem to be coming forward to avail of it in full, though for his own part he is ever for forgiving you all the highest life. He is ever for giving you all the highest life. Let God's will be done. This may be a surprising disclosure. From amongst all the saints and sages of eminence of the past, it is only my special privilege to have one of mine in that capacity, for which some of the credit may go to me as well. Shall we go ahead?
Go ahead. Yes.
This is the time for you all to join together to make the most of the opportunity. Nature, with her hand outstretched, is eager today to take you in her lap. Divine grace is flowing with full force. Such a time as it is today may not be repeated again during the course of thousands of years. Those who miss it now may not have it again for ages, until the time of the advent of the next divine personality into the world. That may perhaps be the time when liberation or realization may again be easy, but it may not even then be up to the extent it is today, because only the constructive program and not the destructive one may then be in force. Even a little sacrifice today may count much in bringing forth the greatest results. The divine current is already aflow. May all be up with at least as much of sacrifice as might enable them to get up to the shore of the infinite ocean, where they might be able to breathe in the cool, refreshing air of the divine. Just one thing for us is even a little sacrifice today may count much in bringing forth the greatest results. This is all due to the infinite grace of the divine personality in existence today in this unhappy world. Do you expect a repetition of the time in the near future? Shall such easy approaches up to the farthest limit ever be possible at a mere glance as it is today? It may, however, be your good fortune that alongside with his primary function related with nature's work, he is also devoting himself to your spiritual training. Those who do not take these promising features into account may have subsequently to lament for the loss when he is gone from this material world. Just one thing here, it may, however, be your good fortune that alongside with his primary function related with the nature's work, he is also devoting himself to your spiritual training. The primary function of master is nature's work. We'll go ahead. As for myself, I can only say that with a rent up heart, I have plunged down deep into the infinite, not knowing what to do and where to go. May He carry me wherever He likes. Everything rests upon Him alone. But as a general rule, one having a plunge in the must rise, one having a plunge in must rise again above the surface once at least, and so did I, but only to find myself being carried away by the silent waves where I do not know. On and on I do go, not knowing the end. I pour this out to you without reserve, only with the purpose of exciting in you a similar fire of madness as I am burning in. But he alone, whom God Himself pulls up may be successful in the pursuit. But to my greatest regret, I find that though all my downpour in this respect is meeting with high appreciation from the people that do not lend their thought in the least to what they are to do themselves. Still, I am ever ready to serve them as best as I can. We must all join hands in making the best of the opportunity that has so fortunately fallen to our lot this day, though complete success is no doubt destined for him alone whom God has ordained. But the labor never goes in vain. It brings forth its own fruits to set the divine flow in motion. But persistent labor often becomes a difficult job for many. The reason is simply a lack of interest and craving. Some of them make their own self a sort of showroom. Others convert their hearts into a karwa sarai to admit all passers by. Everyone is quite sure that he has to give up his body some day. Still, he remains devoted to it beyond due limits, and often at the cost of other necessary things. I do not mean to induce you to neglect it altogether, for that too is a great sin. When I really mean that due care and proper nourishment of the body must necessarily be looked to, but in accordance with fair need and necessity, so that it may be fully capable of discharging its due duties towards God and self as well. Go ahead. Everyone must be prepared to meet his end. That means he must attain the highest spiritual level as early as possible so that he may not have to regret when his end comes. Devotion and constant remembrance are the only surest means thereof. God realization is not at all difficult task provided one diverts his attention to it in the real sense with faith and confidence, resigning himself completely to his will. It can be very easily accomplished if one attends to the due discharge of one's worldly duties, taking everything in the sense of God's command. Self dissolution is the only course for a pursuer of the divine path. He must pursue it with persistence. Love and devotion are, of course, the main features thereof. One, having dissolved himself, embarks on an eternal existence, the real life worth having, and the very object of life. This can more easily be attained during the lifetime of the Master than after him, because his power remains a flow all the time during his life. After that, as they say, rarely may there be few among the whole host of moths that might be capable of immolating themselves in the dead flame. During my great master's lifetime, devotees clustered round him like moths round a flame. It was so because the candle was alight. They went on making progress on the path, but after him the situation changed. There were then few amongst them who could burn themselves with their own internal fire over the flame that had gone out. This was possible only to one who had absorbed into himself sufficient light to keep himself aglow with, and to consume his very being in it. Such a one is for all to imitate, so that they may not remain lacking in that inner heat to consume themselves with afterwards. I have never seen one who, having firmly resolved to reach the ocean of bliss, might have remained short of it. When you have the proper means at your disposal, there is no reason why you cannot win. I find people hankering after seeing the light in their heart, but that is to no purpose at all, for that light is far heavier than the real bliss one craves for. An abhyasi should not try to see the light, but to suppose that it is there. I may say that it is so much repelling to me that I try to be away from it. Light is in fact only a shadow of reality and not reality itself. We have to gain true reality, of which light is only material exposition. It is felt during the course of abhyas, but we ignore as it is superfluous. In fact, we have finally to arrive there where there is neither dark light nor darkness. I have a keen desire to pull up everyone nearmost to the center and to start his swimming in the region, unfolding the point which might help them to secure mastery over nature so as to work with it. But that is purely a divine gift, destined only for him who he wills. Every particle of the human body possesses immense force, and the entire universe is closely connected with it. Every point of the spinal column is full with the greatest power, but no heed has so far been paid to it. People are all crying for Kundalini alone, hankering madly after its awakening. Every particle in the consumption of the kernel of the various brain cells has its own powerful force which surpasses that of Kundalini. But nobody has yet tried to utilize it for the good of humanity. My view may not be acceptable to most of the Gyanis, and even if I demonstrate it to them, they may not be sensitive enough realize sensitive enough to realize it. A time may, however, come, as it must, when people will understand and realize it. Let people create in themselves a keen interest for the attainment of that highermost state and no price, whatever, no price whatsoever. But the response seems to be very poor. It is perhaps due to some of my own shortcomings. If, however, none comes forward to have it of me, I may drop it off at large to be picked up by anyone who may be capable of doing so. So I may assure you that I am overflooded with that feeling, but I keep it under restraint lest it flow out by itself. The outflow can, however, be affected in a moment by touching only one of nature's knots, but that is not the divine will at this time. Any questions? Anything to add?
What is kernel, sir? There is a reference to kernel in page 113, previous page, I believe. Here is this. Every particle in the composition of the kernel of the various brain cells has its own powerful force which surpasses that of the Kindle unit. What is kernel, sir?
Kernel English word. అంటే షెల్ కర్నల్ అంటే కోకోనట్ ఉంది అనుకోండి,
Right, sir.
అది లోపల ఉన్నదాన్ని కర్నల్ అంటారు అనమాట. అట్లా ఇట్స్ ఫ్రూట్ కి అవుటర్ పార్ట్, ఇన్నర్ పార్ట్ కర్నల్ అనుకుంటా. యూ కెన్ గూగుల్ ఇట్. కర్నల్ అంటే ఫ్రూట్ ని డిస్క్రైబ్ చేస్తారు, అట్లా సెల్ ని డిస్క్రైబ్ చేస్తున్నారు అనమాట. సమ్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద బ్రెయిన్ సెల్ ఈజ్ లైక్ దట్. లోపల బ్రెయిన్ సెల్ కి మెంబ్రెయిన్ ఉంటది, మెంబ్రెయిన్ లోపల ఉండేది కర్నల్ అన్నారు అనమాట. అది సో ఎవ్రీ హ్యూమన్ లివింగ్ సెల్ హెస్ గాట్ ఏ మెంబ్రెయిన్ అండ్ constituents inside the cell. The constituents inside the cell is called the kernel. It's a general English term which means whatever is inside a fruit or a enclosure, whatever it is. Anybody can Google it, they'll get the correct translate.
In the page 111, right, he's saying that people might not be capable of immolating themselves in the dead flame. What does that?
No, you see, this is a common metaphor which is used to understand samadhi or yoga. Yoga is actually your mind becomes so pure, and when it becomes pure, it achieves yoga. Yoga is union with the object of meditation. The object of meditation here is God. So your mind merges in God. Yeah, that means yoga becomes established, and then you achieve what is called, as a result of yoga, you achieve self-realization. So one of the metaphors used is the moth burning itself. Unless the moth is attracted to the flame and it burns, it plunges into the flame and burns itself actually. So the identity, or the not the real self, but then the superstructure which is called the ego, unless the ego with all the wrong notions and wrong perceptions, you can think that as a moth, unless that is dissolved and unless that is negativated, you will not have self-realization. So moth actually immolates itself, means moth sacrifices itself. In the same way, and it becomes one with the light. In the same way, unless our ego, or the network which we have formed, unless that is sacrificed and dissolved, you cannot merge with God or immolate yourself. If you can think of the candle flame as God and moth as your ego or network, you cannot become the light of the candle by burning yourself actually. That is the significance of this metaphor actually. So there are very few people after, when a person is alive, when Babuji was alive, when Lalaji was alive, people, because candle was there, everybody was attracted to him. But he says there are few people who attracted the consciousness of the master in their heart, and they by their practice have allowed this light of the master in their heart to become a burning flame, and then burn themselves in the dead flames. There are few, but they're very difficult. That's what he's trying to say. It is technically possible, but it is difficult, because the moth will be attracted only towards a live flame. So if there's no flame, where is the attraction for the moth to burn itself?
Okay.
Sir, a small clarity. I have a keen desire to pull up everyone he says nearmost to the center to start swimming his unfolding the page 112. Unfolding the point which might help them to secure mastery of the nature so as to work with it. Mastery over nature, what does it really mean? Meant he would have realized state. That is.
Once yoga, what happens as you are moving towards the goal, which is God,
Yes.
You will be getting certain powers actually. So finally, when complete surrender happens, there will be no distinction between there's only truth speaking from a spiritual point of view and from a conventional physics point of view also. There's only one force which is working, and like the force which runs this earth spins around itself, spins around the and all that, gravity, all the forces of nature, gravitation force, weak forces, strong forces, electromagnetic force, all the force is only one force. And you can call that force as the will. You can call that as will.
Okay.
And the same force also is working in your heart, which is causing the heart to function, which is causing your liver, your intestines, and your heart, lungs, everything to function because of that will only.
Right.
But you also have the part of God inside you in the form of a mind, actually.
Right.
But the mind, due to certain impurity, it starts feeling that it has got separate. It feels that it has got a separate individual will force. Actually, he says, "I can go. I can drink a glass of water. I can drink a glass of beer." It feels it has got its own will to do whatever it wants.
Right.
So that it feels itself dissociated from God actually.
Right.
But when you do yoga and you do meditation, this dissociation dissolves, breaks down. You feel yourself continuous with that willpower. So there will be no difference between your will and God's will. Then you become an instrument of nature. That is what is written in our books by Babuji and all that. So that happens. Then you work for your nature. That is the thing.
Okay.
That only happens when after negation happens. That is after that your feeling that you're dissociated from God is dissolves, and then you don't feel the other as other, but you feel the other as part of you only, and you feel part of all the sentient beings and all that. That is called self-realization, and at that time, there's only one will operating. Your will is totally in harmony with the universal will, and then that is self-realization.
Right, sir. Then one gains mastery over the nature.
Then
there's no question
it's a
of
language you have to use, it's actually ridiculous. This can be dangerous language because man is so impure, he's got greed and all that. He'll think I'll become the king of the whole world, then people will all fall at me, I can command people, all that wrong ideas will start coming into the mind. So, but since he has to communicate something, he has to use language.
Right.
You actually become servant of humanity. That is the correct word, probably.
Clear, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you.
Mother, next sentence itself he has said anyway. But that is purely a divine gift, destined only for him, whom he wills. So they should understand that.
That's right. Master and good day, Manavanta, Ravanasu Leputam kada.
Ante kada.
Ravanasu etlaipoinadu.
Mother, just I think there is one more point that he has mentioned about how the practice should be done. Meditation, when you are doing it, think of the divine light in the heart, but not on the light itself.
Oh no.
Yeah, therefore, that significance they need to understand, because many people are hankering onto the light. I will be seeing the light, and that is the reality. This says that is not reality. Don't hanker on it. Right, okay.
Final reality, what Babuji says, is neither light nor darkness.
Yes.
So it is very subtle. Mind cannot, mind presently can grasp information brought from the sense organs, and it can infer and think and all that. But this is a thing which is, which the mind cannot think. That's why he says, just suppose that God, divine light is present inside it. That's all. Very subtle idea, and try to rest on that idea.
And for the people of the mentioned about the math, self-immolation into the fire. There are only few fires will be available once the actual light has gone. And that's basically it's talking about Babuji and his Lalaji and his disciples. And now everybody thinks that they are all at that stage, and therefore they can also
Keshav, my personal thing is that whoever has met Babuji has transmitted divine consciousness into his heart. Like his consciousness he has transmitted to you. It is there, but you have the power to make it glow into full-blown glow. So whoever has met Babuji his light his consciousness is present in the heart of all the disciples of Babuji. It is their responsibility to see that flowers. You have to, if you water the plant will grow. And if you feel that the world will give you more happiness, and then you ignore the presence of God inside you, then you're not allowing that flame, that light of the Master to become into a full-blown flame, which will cause negation in you, and then causing you to merge in God. So choice is each person has to decide.
And whether they have
it is there. It is there. It is within their power to die in the dead flame, because their heart has already been lighted by his consciousness. Whether they have the willpower, whether they are committed to nurse that divine light which has been put into their heart, and then allow it to become into full-blown passion for God. That is each individual has to do.
And also, how many are willing to get rid of that ego?
This is a totally personal question. You can't judge anybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We cannot judge anybody about these things.
So we have to, that's where we
have to think about it. We can, because you use the word, we can think about it and contemplate about it, but we can't, we are nobody to say why this fellow is not practicing meditation, all that. We are nobody to say that.
Absolutely.
You've got freedom. And he himself says, if you have made a decision, no force can stop it. I have never seen one who, having firmly resolved to reach the ocean of bliss, might have remained short of it. When you have the proper means at your disposal, there is no reason why you cannot win. అది క్లియర్ కట్ ఉంది.
Okay, then yeah, we'll
We'll meet next Sunday then.